Welcome to the HU Movemakers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Today I have a guest that needs really no introduction. Some say he majored in musical theater, but his minor was spades. I don't know. We'll see if he be cutting across the table. Grammy nominated, BET nominated, independent artist, been relevant for 20 plus years, been really consistent. Worked with Jill Scott, Music, Dwele, Robert Glasper, Jazzy Jeff, Vivian Green. I mean, the list goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to have on the show Eric Roberson. Eric, bro, thank you. I've been in your DMs, bro, for a minute, man. But I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. I really want to, highlight your legacy, just in doing this research and learning about you, man. It's been great. I didn't even know that you was Change For. I didn't even know that was you, man.
Yeah, okay. You got a little tone. I heard the voice.
Man, bro, I love that song. But my wife was like, "Oh, you ain't know that?" I'm like, I didn't know. So yeah, man. How does tell me about your career, man, and how you became to be, Eric Roberson. How people see you now, the musician.
I was a kid that loved music, loved creating. I showed up to Howard with equipment. I was a musical theater major, and I remember showing up with a keyboard and a couple other little, back then we didn't have the kind of equipment we have now, but we made do. I had a sequencer, and I remember just when I showed up, man, everybody was like, "Oh, you do music?" And my dorm room was like popping that whole year. If it wasn't Madden, it was like somebody playing. I got no love from the ladies my freshman year because it just was a crowd. I had Wu-Tang in my room my whole freshman year, making music. But that kind of put me on the path, man. I'm really still a kid that chases what I hear in my head. Had the bumps and bruises and stuff like that. But I think when I really got to a point where I stopped trying to dictate where I was going and kind of just got out the way of myself, things really started taking off.
Interesting, man, because you say that you was doing Wu-Tang, but I feel like the kind of music that you are known for, that was kind of like around when it first started. I guess that R&B, soul, jazz type of so. Who were those early influences? That kind of got you on that path, or where did that come in at?
Well, it's interesting because growing up in New Jersey, we had the luxury that, on Sunday we were singing in church. On Friday we probably in the club. At that point, we were still playing house music. As a kid, you're hearing that this new form of music is growing across the bridge. So like, oh, what's that hip hop thing that my boy's older brother talking about? Coming home with like cartoon flyers, like DJ Red Alert. We like trying to figure that out. And then my dad coming home with some vinyl of like rock and Earth, Wind and Fire and Stevie. So it was just a plethora of stuff. And for me, it was like, well, when I sit down and create, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, I want to do all of it. So for me, like a Tribe was Tribe Called Quest was a big influence because they were the first example that you could do everything. Stevie Wonder was a big example for me. Commission. I mean, I ate it all. And then of course, when we got to Howard, and now you meet in brothers like Tracy Lee who sang and rhymed. Most people don't really even know. Me and Tracy was in a singing group called Mad Props at Howard.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man. Brother could sing. You know what I mean? And with that, we were, at one point we doing gospel, one point we rhyming, one point we singing. And I remember doing music where we were trying to blend everything together and the industry wasn't ready for it yet. But to me, that's what soul music is about. Soul music is about what you feel. After this pandemic, you're supposed to come out different because your spirit different. So I should make music different after this. After I go to Africa, when I come back, my music should be different. And that's kind of how it's been. So when I got my heart broken, it was like it went into the music. When I fell in love, it went into the music. When I graduated, it went into the music.
What year was that you came into Howard?
So I came into Howard 92. I got signed to Warner Brothers in 94. I left for a year and a half to do an album, and then I came back and graduated in 97.
What is that like to be at Howard? You say you wouldn't get no love from the ladies. What is that like to be at Howard, the Mecca? You get signed, you leave. I mean, just first of all, what is it like to get signed while you're, at Howard?
Was bananas, absolutely bananas. Because what's crazy was I got signed. I was still in school. I was still in class. My song came out. It wasn't supposed to come out yet, but I guess one
Dang,
brother
that's
tried to go ahead and
crazy.
leak it. I'm still in class. I remember
Are you serious?
people call my apartment and say, "Yo, turn the radio on. They're playing your song." So I'm still walking through class. I got a video that we had shot that summer. I'm in class and the video's playing on the box. I don't know if y'all remember the box.
Oh yeah,
So
100%.
it was really, really crazy because it was this really sharp incline. But you got to remember that, like, Marlon Wayne shot Mo Money,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was in class. He was in school with us, and the movie was out. You know what I
Really?
mean? So you saw examples of, like, for me, one of my teachers, Al Friedman, who was a theater teacher, he played Elijah Muhammad in Malcolm X movie. So he
Oh
in
wow.
class teaching him. I'm like, yo, I just saw Malcolm X, and you literally played Elijah Muhammad, and now you sit here in his classroom. So immediately, my mind started working. At first, I was like, well, I could do both things. Obviously, if Marlon could come back to school, if whatever the difference was, I was in the middle of it. So I'm in the weekends, I was flying to LA. I'm still trying to record an album. I'm doing these little shows here and there, singing my little song, whatever. So it was a little bit different. Whereas, like, say I just shot some over the summer and then was back in school. So I remember telling my parents, like, after the semester, I said, I don't know if I can't keep it up. I can't keep, because at that point also, you got to think that now everywhere I'm walking to class, people stop me. Yo, that song is crazy. Yo, didn't you do that? Whatever,
For
whatever.
real?
So it was crazy. But
Oh,
then the funny thing is,
dope, bro.
as fast as I stopped going to school, Benny Medina, who signed me, leaves to go do Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Man.
So then I leave when he leaves, I leave. But I'm thinking I could just go to another label, manager's like, yo, we can go whatever. So I go to Island Records, boom.
Uh-huh.
As fast as I go to Island Records, a new president takes over there and he wipes out the whole thing. He drops everybody, fires everybody, just whatever. So now I'm just like deal-less, schoolless, everything, you know. And as fast as stuff was popping, that fast it wasn't. So then it was like, well, I was on scholarship at Howard, so I was like, let me go back to school. Let me go back to school. So the difference is crazy. Where I remember being signed walking down the yard, wow. and the whispers going, "Yo, that's that dude that's on. Ain't that the dude that on Warner Brothers?"
So this stuff sticks out to you, like this.
Oh yeah, I mean, cause you remember you walk with that Howard swag first of all, but then you hear the talk, you can't avoid it, you know. But then the funny thing was when I came back, you know, that's sure, like the first semester when I came back, oh, you back, first of all. And it's like, well, what's up with the album? Oh yeah, we working on it, we take care of it. And then like the video stopped playing much, the radio ain't playing the joint that much. And then by the next semester, they're like, it's obvious that it ain't working now. So then now the whispers, they still talk about me when I walk across the yard, but now it's like, ain't that the dude that had the deal? Did he fall off? What happened?
What type of emotion was that like? Did doubt creep in?
It was now I can't even say doubt. There was no room for doubt. To be honest with you, it was enormously humbling to come back. But what I will tell you is that the first thing I learned was that music wasn't going to save my life. Like, it was like, at that point, I thought I could sing my way or play my way out of any problem.
Really?
And then when I got into the business, you know, with Hiram Hicks, how you tell you, this all good. I worked with Hiram later on, but when Hiram Hicks took over Island and he dropped everybody, he was like, I was like, well, don't you want to hear the album? He's like, nah, I don't want to hear nothing. I got my own people coming in. So it had nothing to do with music. It was all political, it was all business. And I was like, I get it now. So going back to school and the money drying up and everything, like just everything drying up, really just made me more focused. One, it showed me I could do it, but it also gave me time to kind of get my act together. So really, I mean, to be honest, I became a better student. My grades were better. I think I was a better friend to people. I was a better person. You know what I mean? I was just more humble. And I became a better songwriter. Like, I dug into, like, really, I think that was the best thing that ever happened for me, because let's say that first album blew up. Mm-hmm. And then I would have tried to maintain that whatever. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't talented enough to really carry it through like I would have wanted to. So I doubt I would still be here. I would probably, that's the dude that had that big record, you know, or big album in the 90s, and then it all dried up and I was, you know, somewhere doing something else. So the fortunate thing was that it didn't work. It allowed me to take a step back But at the same time, the relationships that I built during that time, the people I was working my album with, we started landing songs. So I was in college placing records, like landing records. I was still going to the studio. You know, that was the one beautiful thing when we was at Howard. We was working in our dorm rooms, we were working in our apartments, and then we was going to the studios. There was a studio called Night Flight Studios. God bless the dead. Scotty Beats was, you know, engineer there and would bring us there. We were working there, you know, all through the night. And you know, so we started landing songs, you know what I mean? So by the time I graduated, I kind of had a clear idea of what I wanted to do.
So when everything fell apart with Benny Medina, was that just because he just got attached to a much bigger thing and you kind of didn't have that push? You know, is that what happened?
It was crazy because I'm going to LA first. The crazy thing is, so you remember the group Shy, and right? So okay, so Shy, big up to them, love them to death, because when they got signed, which was like a night and day, huge, crazy experience. I just gave my tape. So when you get to LA, just pass it to somebody, whoever. And sure enough, then the phones started ringing, and I met up with a manager in LA. So I started flying back and forth to LA to record more demos and to start taking meetings. So the funny thing was, when I would take meetings and people say, yo, I heard Warner's really interested in you. I don't know why you would go there, because Benny leaving. I remember that you used to hear that all the time.
Wow.
God bless the day. I remember when I took a meeting with him, and he was like, yo, I like your stuff, man. He's like, but I hear you probably going Warner. He's like, but just so you know, Benny leaving. And you know me, I'm 19 years old. I'm like, whatever. I'm trying to get a record deal before I'm 19. And you know, at that point, like I said, he was already executive producer for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was moving around and stuff like that. So it was, I mean, the song was like number 33 on Billboard. Man. It was climbing. It was doing great. And then it just.
So what is that? I mean, what is that feeling like to be, you come to Howard you majoring in music theater. Does it ever cross your mind like, yo, I don't need these classes? Does that ever come into play? Or is it more so like, I'm just, I'm gonna just go back to school? Like at what does that feel like? Because I'd imagine it feels weird to be like, okay, I'm kind of more accomplished than some of my teachers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, how does that feel to be junior? You got a record, you signed to a label, which is probably what you went to school for, and you got that. How does that feel?
Well, I mean, I tell you, the first part is that I think I always realized there was more to learn. Mm-hmm. Definitely more to learn. I mean, the teachers were dope. And I also wasn't a psychology major or a political science major. I was into music. I was in theater, and there was more to learn. So like when I went back after the deal and I started realizing how much I could learn about songwriting in theater. I learned more about music in theater classes than I learned in music classes. Okay. I will always say that, because theater was more teaching me about like character development. Like when you say, I love you, what does love mean? Or like when you say, I woke up this morning feeling blue, what is blue? So they pulling from like, how'd you feel in fourth grade? Pull from that, like your first heartache, pull from that. So when you say blue, it needs to have another meaning. We're like, sure, the up third floor music department was like, make sure the note is right. Make sure you breathing your diaphragm. But down in that theater class, they were like, make sure what you say has purpose. So I think I just dug deeper into that. And the other thing, man, I mean, once again, I no shot to any other school, but if I was at Penn State or something like that, mm-hmm. and wasn't seeing other people making incredible music in class, then maybe I would have felt that way. But at Howard, man, I wasn't the best singer. I wasn't the best songwriter. I wasn't the best producer. I wasn't the best music. I wasn't the best at all. I was just part of it. Mm. And I think that was one of the things that really, really helped in me learning, because when I came back, now I'm listening to the teachers. Now I'm going down to the practice room. I'm listening to other musicians, other songwriters, and really just like, what's the overall goal? Because I think before the deal, I was trying to be the best at Howard. And when I went back to Howard, I was just trying to be the best. Yeah. So like whatever I could gain, or the best version of me. So I was like, whatever I could gain to improve myself, so when I come back out again, I ain't nothing to play with.
So were people acting brand new when you first got put on? Or was it just the same thing? Because, Howard, it go either way. Like, I remember hearing that Maxwell got booed, Howard keep it 100 with
I
you.
was there.
Oh, you was there. Okay.
He got on stage. First, let's talk about the dress. He got on stage wearing a light blue ruffled tuxedo.
Oh, wow.
It's like Fuji's and like it was the wrong night. I mean, he was. When I tell you, I watched it. It said this dude is killing. And I remember I went and found his music like the next day.
Yeah.
But no, he definitely got booed off stage. You know what I mean? It just wasn't the right vibe. And he wasn't the only person that ever got booed off a Howard stage.
I worked in Crampton, so I was there. Dolomite came and got booed off because he said something. I mean, Beanie Man got booed when I was there. He said something. He said a joke that went bad and got booed. So I was there when Wu-Tang performed. They didn't get booed, but I remember Mace got booed. I mean, I done seen it all. So I just thought I would ask that question. So when you had a scholarship to Howard, was that a musical theater scholarship or was that a scholarship just to go to Howard?
Nah, so I won this teenage pageant called Mr. Black Teenage World when I was 16 years old. It was crazy.
Oh, okay.
All my boys were clowning me and said, "Yo, you in a pageant? You gotta go out with a swimsuit." And so whatever. I won the state, and then I went and did the national. I won the national, and they gave me this envelope. I opened this envelope, and it said I had a full scholarship to Grambling State University and Howard University.
Wow.
I was like, Graham's not even an option. So I was going into my junior year of high school already knowing where I was going to college. And I think that really changed my mind because, at that point, I don't think I was going to play ball at Howard or play ball in college or whatever, or just whatever. And then I think that changed my mind and going, well, maybe I could really go to school for the arts now. Like, it's paid for. That's when I started having a conversation with my parents. Like, I'm thinking about maybe this other kind of major. What like, is it a music major, whatever? And they were supportive, so that kind of led me to go on that way.
Which leads right to my next question, because, when I have actors on the show or people that work in the arts or musicians like yourself, and they majored in, theater, coming from a Black family, I'm wondering, like, was there pressure to be like, yo, why are you majoring in this? You're not gonna make no money, or like, what was that support like? Because I know in my household, I was in the school of B. So I don't care how funny I was, how much talent I was. My mom was like, you go in there to graduate and get a job and get out the house. Talk about the support or lack of support you had when you chose the major, to be a musical theater major.
Well, I think I always go back now when I look back. I think my freshman year, I'm pretty sure it was my freshman year of high school. My mom came home. She worked a corporate job. She worked for AT&T for years. And she came home one day and was like, yo, I can't do it no more. She's like, I'm not fulfilled. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I didn't understand it, but I remember it. And she was like, I'm starting my business. She started a business in fashion. She started selling clothes and styling other women and stuff like that. And I remember my dad going like, all right, cool. My dad worked, my dad was a guitar player, but he worked like a regular.
Oh, really? Okay.
He worked in a warehouse and like had a regular 9-to-5 job. And my dad had this fly, like white Lincoln with blue rag top. I just knew when my senior year, that's prom card. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom coming home one day and saying that, like, I'm done. I'm leaving this job and I'm starting my own business. And then I remember next day, my dad putting a for sale sign up on his car and sold that day. And he went and bought a van so he could drive my mom's clothes around and stuff like that. So I just remember that move of like, and I didn't realize how impactful it was. So my sister went to college as an English major, but my sister's an interior decorator. She got her own business. I think my mom kind of put it in us already that like, do what you feel first. Even like my mom as a stylist, she was always kind of preaching like, find your style, find what fits you. Don't put on something just because somebody wants you to wear it. Don't put on something just because it's in style. Put on something to make you feel good. So it's almost the same way of business. So when I was like, I want to major in music, it was like, that's what you feel? Is that what you want to do? Do it.
So when you got that deal, who was the first person you called when you got that deal with Warner?
Warner? That's funny, man. I remember I don't know if I called anybody because back then we didn't have cell phones. I dated myself. I remember
those phone cards.
Right. I will tell you. So it was in LA, and I remember when I would go there, they had a whole wall from floor to ceiling of like cassettes and DATs and CDs or whatever, just a whole wall of unreleased Warner Brothers music. It was Prince albums, all kind. I remember just sitting there, just every time somebody left the room, I'd be like studying the wall. So when I got to say, what do you want to do first? I was like, I want you to change my flight. I'm not flying home tonight. I want a pair of headphones. I want to listen. I want to stay here and listen to this whole wall. Now that I'm like an artist here, I want to listen. And I remember like some of the best music I ever heard to this day was on that wall, and a lot of that never came out. Like majority of probably it never came out. And that probably was also the start of like my independent world of like, whatever happened to that record? Why did that never come out? Because that would have changed music. That would have been the next Maxwell. That would have been the next whatever, next Erykah Badu, and that didn't come out. Why didn't that come out? And I think that really set me on my path. But I think eventually I called my parents. Eventually I called the homies. Yo, we made it. This, that. But I think I just kind of rolled with. I think I was just a kid in a candy store, so I was more intrigued about all the stuff I've been waiting to listen to here. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I did.
Well, what year's graduation for you?
97.
So 97, man. I looked it up. Your first album come out in 01?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
I'm sure you did a ton of music before then, but talk to me about them days, 97 to 01. I'm sure it was some failing forward moments.
For sure. So I did theater for actually a year. I graduated theater for about a year. In like New Jersey, New York, DC area, just different plays for a minute. And then I was like, this is not really where my heart is at. I was still sneaking off the studios in between all the stuff. And I realized it was like, for me, it was like when you're doing theater, you in rehearsal for a long period of time. The rehearsals are taking everything out of you, and then you're doing a run of a show. So there's no movement. You can't work both. You can't work the music business, at least at the time, and theater. It was like one or the other. So then I moved to Atlanta, I think the following year, 99, early 99 or whatever. And that was really me and a lot of the Howard guys. We're all gonna move to Atlanta, and we all gonna work on music, and we all gonna like try to get this thing going. And it was really working. And I was working at a company called Noontime.
Why Atlanta at that time? Because Atlanta, I mean,
I think it was just a place we thought was the next spot. We were kind of studying where things were going. I think I went down there to visit. My boy Jarrell lived down there. I think I went down there to visit, and we ran into 112, and I played a song for him, like on guitar, and they bought the song. It was on the next album, song called "Funny Feelings," and it went on it. And I was still at DC. I might have still been at Howard at the time, so I came back up there to DC. We finished all the music out. Then I brought it back down, and we recorded the song. So I started seeing that like certain things were working for me in Atlanta. And I think we were all just kind of talking about it. It was like, I don't know about moving to LA, New York don't seem right. It was like, yo, Atlanta seemed like it's growing. And what I will tell you is Atlanta was definitely growing. It just wasn't growing with the kind of music that I like to do. I'm a soul singer. I love making soul music. And at that point it was like straight R&B, Timbaland type R&B, which is no problem at all. I write that all day as well. So we all kind of came down there. And then while I was down there, I met a producer from from Touch of Jazz, DJ Jazzy Jeff's company in Philly.
Okay.
So I went to that studio like probably mid 99 and like never left. So just like I had my apartment in Atlanta and my truck was in Atlanta and everything. And I was up in Philly for like 6 months. And I went down to Atlanta, got all my stuff and it came up. And I mean, sure, there was some highs and lows. I mean, the thing about being a songwriter is you really unemployed at every gig, so you have these really big months or really big year followed by a really quiet month or a really quiet year. So no matter what money you had in the bank, you always felt broke because you just never knew what the next one was coming.
So in this time period from 97 to 01, is that when you're supporting yourself by writing music, or are you performing as well?
Not really performing. At that point, I was a studio rat. So that was vocal production, singing background. I sang background on tour with Kenny Lattimore for Kenny Lattimore's tour. Then
that's HU too, right?
Yeah, HU as well. Artists, I would do like artist development, songwriting, vocal production, whatever I could get a check from in music.
I mean, is it any any time where you like, yo, I'm not feeling this, because I'm sure you going to Howard, you looking at other cats that are probably excelling in their career, even if it's not music. Is it any time where you like, yo, I know I got the ability, but I'm not feeling this. You know what I'm saying? Or is it
Well,
always like you just stayed hungry?
I mean, I always wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wasn't supposed to be behind a desk, not in that particular situation, or I knew I wasn't supposed to be at a cash register, you know what I'm saying, or on a construction site. I knew like this was going to be my best option, whatever it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the dope thing. I mean, going back to Howard, in the theater class, they were like, yo, you're going to learn lights. You're going to learn makeup. You're going to learn costume. You're going to learn stage management because you might not get the gig that you audition for.
Yeah,
That's
so
I know how to
true.
work these lights, or I
Yeah.
know how to, I know how to build this set or whatever. So we had to take all that stuff. So for me, I think I came with the same mentality. Like, all right, you may not sign me, but I'll write for your acts. Or you
Mm-hmm.
might need me to, you need me to do vocal production or demo stuff or sing background or whatever. So, I mean, I was keeping it going. What I would tell you is, I mean, there was some tough times where there were plenty of times where I had to ask myself, is this going to work? And I was probably, if anything, it was not really down on my abilities, but, you go up to, there were times where, let's say I'm heavy in songwriting. I would write songs for that week or those 2 weeks, and then I would go up to New York for meetings. So I'll do a whole day of meetings, go to every label, sit with every A&R, and the meetings were brutal, man. They were brutal.
Are they
Like,
like so? Like, what's brutal? Walk me through like a meeting that you would consider brutal.
so a good meeting would be, they play the music. Yo, that was dope. This joint might need a bridge, or yeah, that was cool. I like the beat. The hook could have been a little better. All right, maybe we'll do this one. Can you bring that one back with a different hook or something? Yeah, okay, cool. That's a good meeting.
Uh-huh.
A bad meeting is like, and this is no exaggeration. This is exactly how it happened. Like, you get to do your CD, and he put it on, and it's like he ain't even looking at you, so he like over here, and if he come on, boom, 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 he skip, skip, boom, boom, skip, skip. He ejected, throw it on the table. What else you got? You like, yo, you ain't even get to the work. So
Damn.
what else you got? That's all I got. Yo, appreciate you coming to see me. Yo, bring me back something next week. And you grab your CD and you walk out of there feeling like hot trash because this dude just crapped over, everything you worked on that whole week. And that train ride back to Jersey was tough because you went on the train ride, bumping the joint you just did, like, oh, that's gonna kill in the studio speakers or whatever. And you get in there and that dude having a bad day, or he about to lose his job, his boss just ended up cursing him out. So now you come walking in there with these beats, and then he crap all over you. So them train rides back home were like, gonna work? Is this meant to be?
So how were you? Did you have a blueprint that you was following, or a lot of the moves that you making is it just off like instinct and gut? Because I gotta imagine.
When I met other people, you would meet other songwriters. I met Kipper Jones, who like wrote a lot of Brandy's first album, a lot of records, and he kind of took me on his wing and like took me to some sessions, and he was like an example of somebody who's making money doing this. Gordon Chambers was another person. Like, Gordon Chambers was the first person I saw, like, oh, you're a songwriter. You make a living writing songs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you could do this, So, I think I was just trying to figure it out. Like, trying to figure it out, take meetings. And I'll tell you, one of the things I made adjustment with, there was a dude named Bill Brown that worked at ASCAP. So ASCAP is like, they collect royalties for you. And I was a member of ASCAP. And I always remembered that when I took a meeting with him, he was really, really cool, really, really like just really supportive. So when I was planning my meetings, I'll make sure he was the last meeting. I always schedule him as my last meeting before I left New York, because no matter how bad the other meetings went, that meeting was always going to be good. I would always leave on, and that's how I survived it. Because if I just got on the train after every bad meeting, eventually I'm not going up there. Man, I ain't going up there to see Epic this week. They whatever. But if I could leave on a high note, I do remember making that adjustment. Like if I could leave on a high note, I could probably handle this a little bit better. And then next, the stuff started clicking. Like I remember there was dude Colin Stanback. I say his name because I know the dude, and I remember what happened. He calls Jarrell up, who I just mentioned before, and he's like, "Yo, have Eric come back up. Like, I'm listening to his music. This is incredible. Like, this is dope. And this dude I played music for before, hit and miss, whatever. So I come up there, he's like, yo, this music is banging. Like, what you do different?
Wait,
Like,
what's his name?
Colin Standback. So Colin was the dude who, like, I don't work with him. He done.
So is this a white guy, black guy?
No, it's a black dude.
Okay.
He was at one point he was an A&R for Jive. So he was one who bought a couple of songs for me for, like, so I worked on Dwelle's first album. Colin Standback was the person who brought me with Dwelle. But Colin was like, he was like, yo, like, this is dope. Like, this is better than your other stuff. Like, what you doing different? Like, what changed? And I was like, you changed. That's the same songs I've been playing for you for the last year. They ain't nothing. Everything you just played for me, them songs are like a year old.
Really?
I was like, it's just you starting to understand it now. Like, I'm not coming here playing something like that everybody else is doing. I'm trying something different. And then one day he heard it and it just clicked. So then for me, now me and him was cool, and then it just kind of started working that way.
Where's your inspiration for writing songs and making music coming from at this point? You know, back in this time period of 97 to 01.
I think, that point, man, everything's still the same. It's like, for me, back when I was at Howard, I made a promise to God that if it comes to me, or if I experience it, I'm gonna write about it. So my worst day, I'm gonna write about it. My best day, I'm gonna write about it. Every argument I have with my girl, I'm gonna write about it. Every great day I have, no matter whether it gets me in trouble, I'm gonna write about it.
All right, so now you getting put on, you having some success, and it's crazy because I feel like your Rolodex is probably crazy, but it's not matching up with your pockets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably knowing everybody, you got the respect of everybody, but the bread is not really coming in yet. I mean, what is that feeling like? Is it, I'm sure you see the light, but like, what is that like?
Well, I learned, like I said, I was starting to see that you can have a really big month and a really quiet month after that. I signed a publishing deal with EMI probably 2000. In 2000, I had a whole bunch of stuff lined up.
So what's a publishing deal, if you could break it down?
So a publishing deal was a company paid me a large advance in order to collect my publishing, in order to collect my royalties for me. They would take a percentage of my royalties in order to collect it. And for those services, they would also help me land more songs. They might put me in rooms with other writers or other artists and this and that. So I signed this publishing deal, and I don't go get a house. I don't buy a new car. I moved in with my parents. It was like,
because I was going to ask you, man, what's the biggest purchase you made once you got your biggest check or your
my studio? I built a studio.
So you invested.
Yeah. I built a studio. First studio I built was in my parents' basement. I probably spent, no exaggeration, about $70,000.
Damn.
Yeah, just on like building it from scratch. It was an unfinished basement. So like, not only did we build like a floating floor, soundproof the whole thing, 3 rooms. Then just went and bought, full out whatever the top line equipment was in there. Everything that I had planned up to that point really dried up. My next year was really, really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And all the stuff that I had placed, none of that stuff came out. So, but the blessing was, during that time, all my friends started getting signed. So, Jill Scott was a friend. Music Soul Child was a friend. Vivian Green was a homie. And a lot of that stuff we recorded in a little bedroom at that time. We was building a studio, and that stuff was done in like a little small.
At your parents' house?
At my parents' house.
What?
My parents' house. So like Emotion Roller Coaster.
So it's like Motown over there, bro.
Yeah,
he basically turned the house into a whole studio, man.
Little small room, man. Little small room.
That's good, man. So I mean, now 2001. The internet is kind of coming into play, changing the game a little bit. And now you writing, you making hits for other people. Like, at what point do you say, you know what, I'm gonna drop my own thing?
Well, a lot of it came from, once again, watching a lot of artists, working with a lot of artists, and their records not coming out. And I saw that just, at that point, around that point, I'm Eric Roberson, the songwriter, right? Mm-hmm. Every A&R knows me, but knows me as the songwriter. Don't know me as an artist. They know me as Eric Roberson, the songwriter. And mind you, I introduced myself as that for the last 3 years. I'm Eric Roberson, the songwriter. So they put me with rappers, put hooks on these rap songs. I'm working, developing, girl groups, singers, whatever, and none of them coming out. Before you know it, they back in Texas doing hair again. And I'm like, dang, but they was dope. They was really gonna really make an impact. So I think I was seeing that, and then I think a lot of it also was I was making songs that was so personable that I couldn't sell them. Like certain songs were like out of my journal. You know, I went through this really bad breakup, and the only way I knew how to like heal from it was like to go in the studio and just write. So I just closed the studio doors and I just zoned out for like 3-4 months. And when I came up, I had some music, and I was like, I'm not selling none of this because this is like. So that was the first album. The first album was an album called Esoteric, which means only meant to be understood by a chosen few. You know, So I was already like, if I sell 2 albums of this, I'm fine. And at that point, I had been from deal to deal at that point, but there was no deal. So I was like, yo, I'm just gonna put this out myself. And I remember like my peers, my friends who had deals or were working with deals, they were like, what you mean? Like, what label you going to? I was like, I'll put it on my own label. And they were like,
so your first album, that was independent?
Yeah, in 2001. So I mean, real talk, cats laughed. I remember like cats laughing at me, like, word, you just gonna put it out yourself? Like, you Barry Gordy now, dude? Like, you know, and I was like,
what was the success like? What was the feedback like when you dropped that album?
it was growing pains really, because I think at that point I put the first album out. It wasn't like immediate, like just take off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was I would see little successes, but what happens about a year later, someone called me and said, you should go to this website. It's called Soul 24/7. It was a forum. He said, yo, people on it talking about you. You should go to their website. And I was like,
oh, that's dope.
I type it up, and it's like, hi, I'm such and such from Germany, and what's more about this person? Hi, I'm such and such from Japan. I'm such and such, and it's all, I mean, people from all over the world, all in this
all
forum.
over the world,
all over the world, all in this forum.
Dang.
And I type in like, hey, mind you, it's not just me they talking about everybody, but there's this one
right.
They're like talking about me. So I'm like typing like, hey, I'm Eric Roberson. I just appreciate the fact, I don't even know how y'all got the music, but I appreciate the fact y'all listen to it.
Wow.
And as soon as I said that, it was just like, we want more. We want more. Are you doing more music? Are you doing more music?
Was that like an adrenaline rush right there to see that?
It was crazy. It was like, it was reassurance. It was like, so I was like, well, I got this other music. So my second album was called The Vault, because I had all these songs just like laying around really. And I was like, well, I got this other music. So I really made The Vault just for them on the forum. Cause I didn't think that, okay, I'm gonna keep putting records out. And so if you look at my history, it's so there's a Vault Volume 1 and there's a Vault Volume 1.5.
Yeah, I see Volume 1, Appetizer. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Left.
So Volume 1, I had to change the record because I sold all the songs from it. So like at that point I was still a songwriter. So Hold On for Dwelle was on the original version of that joint.
So is it a challenge to, because obviously you're a talented musician. Do you go through a process where you're like, man, this would be good for him, but I like this for me? You know, is it ever that?
Not really, because when I'm working on your project, I'm thinking what's going to best work for you. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm working for my project, you ain't hearing anything, because if I feel like you might want it, you're just not going to hear it. I'm like, all right, this is for me. You know what I'm saying? This is for.
Who are some artists that maybe we wouldn't even know that you wrote for or work with?
Charlie Wilson, Will Smith, and there's lots of, like, I wrote with Gerald Levert. A lot of them never came out. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
A lot of. I mean, so there's plenty of that stuff. Tyrese. Yeah, I mean the list goes on, man. Cameron, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was like
oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah, it's like whatever, man. I was getting in with whoever I could get in with.
No, that makes sense, man. So so you dropped your album in 2001, and then, you know, I guess you could say like internet, you know, really allowed artists to kind of get discovered and really kind of take more control of their careers. You know, you kind of, so number one, like when I read your history, and I could be wrong, it seems like you're a pioneer in what people would call like neo soul. You kind of a pioneer in going the independent route because you did it, you know, when it wasn't popular. You know, where, you know, now the internet, I mean, is there ever a sense like, you know, I want to go work with a label, or is it all, or or you always happy like, man, I'm glad I did everything, on my own? Because I think I saw one artist and he was saying he only sold like 100 some thousand copies, but because he was independent, the bread that he made
Oh yeah.
was like more than somebody who had sold 1 million.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, you're gonna realize the situation. Everything is about how you negotiate. So you're gonna have people out there who signed, who got major record deals, sold millions of records, and ain't got no money. You got plenty of that situation. As well as like indie people that, like real talk. I tour with 9 guys. I got a staff. We tour the whole world.
wow.
And sure, more people don't know me than people know me, but I got my core fans who, whether I'm in Africa, London, Japan, whatever, California, whatever, we stay out there. We stay supported, and we perform for who support it. So I mean, it changes. I mean, by no means was I the first indie soul artist. By no means. I remember, a lot of us were all kind of starting to do that around the time. And then that wrestling match, because as fast as we would get something as an independent, it'll be taken away because the majors were like, it was a chess match. You know what I mean? It was a chess match.
What year was what year was the Grammy nomination?
It was probably 10 years ago. So yeah, it was probably 2009, 2010.
Because I noticed, just looking at your albums, I want to say like Music Fan,
Music Fan first, yeah,
and Mr. Nice Guy. Those were, in terms of like financial success, it looks like, or record, so it looks like those were kind of like more popular albums than the other ones. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a big peak. Those are the times where I got nominated, and it's tough because it's interesting. Whereas those records made a lot of money, but I spent so much money on them. I probably made more money on records I didn't spend, so much promotion. You got to think like even like the first time I got nominated for a Grammy, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? The second year I got nominated for Grammy, I was like, damn, I gotta fly all these people out. It was like, oh man, I gotta buy another tux. I gotta buy that's gonna, because I'm the label. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, this is gonna cost so much money. So I was grateful for it, but I started realizing and also you got to work the machine. If you nominated for Grammy, now I got to hire publicists. Now we got to work that market to really get it to pop.
So your budget for your first album, around about what is it for the first album as opposed to like 2011?
Key 100. First 3 albums was made off of bartering. Yo, I'll write a song for you if you do a track for me, or you play for this, I'll let you use my studio for a week, or that it was bartering. There was no money there was no money to pay off anyway. At that point, like I said, whether I had money or not, I treat like I was broke because you just never knew what the next thing was coming. On average, an album would cost around $15,000 to $20,000 to make. And then you'll probably try to promote it for about $10,000, $15,000 and hope to get some kind of return. And if you're trying to go any bit of radio is the bottom in radio is $15,000, even to have a conversation.
Really?
If you're trying to get any records played, and getting serviced and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, it's like it them days are like just a DJ liking your music. Oh, I'm just gonna put this on just for the love. You got to kind of service the whole situation. And
yeah.
I teach at Berkeley College of Music in Boston. So I fly there once a week, and I teach a business class and a songwriting class. Obviously, we teach online now because everything's shut down. But in my business class, I would talk about like just in this pandemic moment, the industry has completely changed. So what worked in January ain't gonna work now, let alone what worked last year. So that's how the business always changed. When MySpace came out, the business changed. When Facebook came out, when streaming changed, so you got to be prepared to like work it.
That's awesome, man. So how did the internet, help your business model? Because obviously, what I always like artists like Jay-Z, somebody who's been able to kind of make his art mimic the business side of things and either don't really compromise each other. And when I look at you as somebody who's been consistent for this period of time, because sometimes you get caught up in business and it can affect your art, and sometimes you get so in the art that somebody takes advantage of you on the business side. Like, how do you balance those two things? Because that has to be stressful. Even now, you teaching the business class, that's super dope, man. Like, how do you balance the business and the art?
Hold on to the main parts you love about it. You got to, because I named the album, 10 years ago called Music Fan First. And I named it that because the obligation of the job became overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Got to the point where I was like, oh, I gotta go do this show. I want to stay home, man. They need a song. Yo, tell them I'm locked down. I'm not submitting no more. Like, you know, it was wearing me down, and it's like I had to get to a point remembering, like, don't I love this? Like, didn't I pray for this? Didn't I want this to work? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, nah, it's working. Now I'm like,
it's crazy,
man. You know, so it took me a little bit of chin checking because I was tired. I ain't go in front. I was tired and beat up from just touring and coming off the road and like just that hustle. And it was really working at that point. You know, money was great. I was making a good living, and I had to realize, like, yo, I'm a fan of this first. I'm a fan first and foremost, and then at the same point, even like teaching. I remember when I was 19. I remember when I was 20. I remember I was trying to figure it out. So if I can now go back and sit and keep it 100 in my business class, we're gonna talk about all the business. We're gonna talk about publishing and TV syncs and stuff like that. But half the time, I'm just talking about like how you get rid of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That's half the class. Half the class is like, you know, what, like, you could do this.
What's your process? You know, when it comes to team building, are you like James Brown and you finding people when they don't have the steps right in the background? Like, what type of things going into your team building process?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, and I think that it's a blessing because the way my company and way my career is set up is I'm fine with not being the best if we're doing the best, right? So with my company, it's hard to get in, but it's hard to get out too. I've only had to fire a couple of people, and that's including my band members, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the trajectory of the people that I've worked with, a lot of times, a lot of the staff members were fans.
Really?
Who had an interest in doing certain things, or the more I had a chance to be around somebody and seeing what they did. Band members where I said, I'm gonna give you more responsibility. If I look at my personal assistants, one now works for the NFL. Another personal assistant with brother named Walter Jones, who's now VP of like, is it Universal Publishing now? Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, he's on fire.
So what are things you do to balance, man, outside of the music, man, to kind of get away?
Oh man, I mean, first rest. I love writing. I love writing. So like that's my natural, you know, I'm really fortunate that like if I go in this booth and like really spend all night in there writing, I love doing it. Then I got 3 young boys.
How old?
9, 7, and 4.
Cool. I got 3 and 6, man.
Say again?
My son's 6, my daughter's 3. So yeah.
You in
being a parent, man, that's like the best thing ever.
Best thing, man. So like, you know, sometimes you just gotta unplug and just lay around with them or play some of their games or whatever. So for me, it's about just trying to find the right time, find a time to take time, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Versus, you've been following the versus battles?
Yeah.
Who would you love to battle?
You know, it's tough, man, because you know, people been talking about me.
It's tough because I wrote for all of them, so you know it's.
But it's also because I got 15 albums over the last 20 years, and then I wrote for other people, so it's like just keeping it 100% honest. You can't really put me with a major, like say a Music Soul Child or Anthony Hamilton, who's been on a major label the whole time and they've had these big radio singles, but they ain't have their content. They might not have as many records as I had, right? But at the same time, my peers who I love and respect, like a Dwele, who to me would be the obvious, maybe a great match. I don't know if he's had as much music out as I've had. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it all comes down to presentation, and it ain't really a battle anyway. It's all about. It's a celebration of music. You know what I mean?
Right.
If Cass wanted me to get up with Raheem or like keep it 100, I ain't scared. So if you want me to go with music or Anthony Hamilton or whoever, let's go. Let's put the catalog up. I went
to a Raheem concert, man. I didn't know he was that talented.
Oh,
dude is dope, man.
He's a beast, and that pen ain't nothing to play with.
Nothing
to play with. So yeah, I mean, he would be cool. I'm down. I think because at the end of the day, I would want it to be somebody where we have an opportunity to play stuff and people go, oh, I didn't know he did that. Or I forgot about that one. You know what I mean? And You know, I think it could be a good match. We just gotta make sure we got a technical side together. You know, we
Yeah,
can't
you
come
don't want that to happen.
pulling Teddy.
Yeah, you don't want that. He had good intentions, but it
Of course,
backfired big time.
of course.
So so now I mean you just dropped the album, right? Back in April.
Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
hear from here?
Here from here,
Yeah,
yeah.
hear from here. So
And
what's your creative process like? I would say I know now you talked about bartering early to, all of a sudden having a budget because, you got a bigger brand and everything. What's your creative process like as we, kind of get to a conclusion, man? What type of financial advice would you give, artists that are currently coming up or getting started?
treat your money like it's your kids' money, whether you got kids or not. Start putting in the mind frame that it's not your money. Treat your money like it's your kids' money. So there's a little bit more responsibility you might put towards uh, the income that's coming in. If you're going to invest in something, invest like sure you can get a car at some point, but invest in stuff that's going to make you money. Invest in stuff that's going to keep you relevant. And keep it really 100. I know pulling up to a studio in a nice car is business too, right? So
What you
there's
mean by that?
like plaques on the wall. Like if you're in a studio, like plaques is like sure. You know what the plaque really mean? If I'm talking to you and I'm trying to tell you to do something musically, and you look behind me and see that, it adds validation to what I'm saying. It's as simple, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so a car to a degree does that too, but you can't get carried away to where like you're working for the car rather than the car working for you. I would buy a solid desktop computer for your studio and blow it out with the top of the line plugins. I would buy a serious microphone or a mic preamp. I would get those things that that while you can work out your ideas, and figure out how to use it.
Because I always wondered, man, when I was first putting this studio together, like this stuff, I was like, no wonder you always see these hip hop groups and it's always that one white engineer, you know what I'm saying, putting stuff together because brothers not really putting that, investing in themselves. They don't own the equipment and they're not taking the time to learn it. So yeah, I definitely appreciate what you're saying.
And it takes 2 seconds. You know what I do is mixing your record or what I do is setting up the equipment. Take 2 seconds. Stop eating your sandwich and just watch.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yo, what's that button for? What's that knob you turning in? What's that? That's compression? What's compression? Ask. And then when you sit down in your studio, you spend one night just working on compression. Like, all right, let me figure out. And then once you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
So you apply those things to your craft, and that's your financial, that's your financial tool. So yeah, for me, I was always about reinvesting. Was my main thing really.
So, do you remember the first time you rocked the crowd and everybody knew the words? What was that feeling like?
When I had the song out, The Moon,
Okay.
it was probably, 19.
That's crazy.
It was a good feeling. What I will tell you is my first time in London was the first time, and this is years later. This is probably 2000 or even 99. That's not true. When was this? This was probably 2001 or 2002. I did London, and it was the first time the crowd took the song away from me. Like I'm singing, and then I was singing, and I could hear them singing, so I stopped singing, and then I just took a step back, and the whole crowd sang the song back. It was craziest feeling I ever felt in my life. Like
Wow.
I couldn't even I'm emotional now just thinking about it, but it's like just stepping back and then having hundreds of people singing to you. It was like it was crazy. It was crazy.
Dope,
So that was and then also the feeling of it, like while singing, like are they singing? Like they're singing. I was like, let me just, and I just stopped for a second, and it was like it was still to this day, man, give me chills even thinking about it.
So one question I always ask every guest on here is, we talk about legacy, and what at the end of the day, like, what do you want your legacy to be?
Dope father, dope husband, and a person who a poet who believed in the betterment, invested in the betterment. Like betterment is an important word to me. You know what I mean? So like leaving things better off than what it was, whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's the music business or whether that's my circle. You know what I mean? Like my circle through this pandemic that we're better off mentally, or that we held each other down. That's probably the most important thing for me. Somebody who invested back.
Okay, dope, man. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
So definitely want to thank Howard grad Eric Roberson for coming on the show. It's my inaugural season, HU Movemaker podcast. Want to thank you for showing love. Right now, we're gonna transition into it's our rapid fire, man. So I'm just gonna ask you 10 questions. 10 questions, man, and you just got to give an answer, no explanation.
Oh, let's go.
All right, so if it wasn't for music, what would you be doing?
Acting.
Someone you haven't collaborated with, but you would love to.
Erykah Badu.
Thing you love most about Howard?
The Yard.
Favorite place to perform?
London.
So you a quad man or an annex man?
Quad.
Drew or Carver?
Drew. Fifth floor.
Fifth floor. Okay, I was third floor. U Street or Adams Morgan?
Adams Morgan. I'm a U Street person now. I know you say one word, Adams, but back then I was Adams Morgan, so I'm gonna say Adams Morgan.
Were you around with Republic Gardens?
Yes.
So, yes, okay. Favorite song all time?
Called Sometimes by George Duke.
Soloist or group?
Soloist.
Is Homecoming better as an alum or undergrad?
Way better as an alum.
Okay.
Way better.
Okay. Got it. All right, let's see. Why would you say that?
I'll be honest, man. I was a studio head at Howard, man. So like I did music all through. So Homecoming, I was sitting behind a keyboard or behind a microphone majority. I might go to like a concert, went to go see Biggie, went to go see Tribe and some of that. But like I wasn't really I wasn't going to parties because I was like, I'll walk into a party, hear music and be like, I can make that.
Is your wife a Howard
yeah,
girl?
Yeah. Sean Harvey. She a couple years after me. We met afterward, but she was another Howard. Yeah.
All right, so this is the Jeopardy portion.
Lord Jesus, pray for me.
Okay, finish this sentence. Reared against the eastern sky.
Pass.
Oh man, proudly there on Hilltop High.
Oh, dude, I tell you, I feel all this.
What year was Howard founded?
I can answer this. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna do some math.
Do some math.
1870.
1867.
Dang, I was close.
Yeah, okay. You was close, man. You was close. Let me ask another one. Can you tell me who's the president of Howard?
I know this dude too. Oh my God. I know this dude. Wear fly sneakers, got an accent. His number probably on my phone. That's the sad part. Yeah, pass. I'm horrible with names.
Dr. Frederick, man.
Frederick. Golly.
You gotta get at least one right. What neighborhood is Howard in?
Northwest.
No, that's the part of DC. What's the neighborhood?
The neighborhood?
Yeah.
The Hilltop? I don't know what.
LaDroit Park.
Oh, yo, that's horrible. Yeah, I'm not gonna get one of these. I told you I'm gonna flunk all this.
Man,
yo,
I'm gonna try to make it easy.
I gotta get some extra credit. I was 3 years off for the founding. Yeah, no, that's still
what's the Howard motto?
The Howard. Oh, HU. You know. I'm like, God. No.
Truth is service. But that was good. All right. Now give me 3 famous people that came out of theater arts.
Taraji P. Henson, which was a classmate.
Oh, word. That was your classmate.
Chadwick Boseman, who's also a classmate.
Damn, I didn't know
that. Tracy Toms, who's also a classmate.
Wow. Good stuff, man. Good stuff, bro.
I got one right.
Hey, and I didn't know that. But yeah, thanks again for taking the time. Certainly appreciate it, man. You know, we went over a little bit, but you had some awesome stories to share.
Oh, good, man.
So,
Pleasure.
Eric Roberson, Howard University, icon, 15 albums, Grammy nominated, BET. If somebody wants to check out one of your projects or follow you or, get into your music, how can they do that?
They can go to my website, ericrobersonmusic.com, or they can just, I'm always on Instagram. That's probably the best way is Arrow44, so ERRO.
Well, they want to play you in spades.
Listen, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious about them cards. So yeah, we could right now we can do it online. We can do whatever. We can wait till we can meet up. You know what I mean? It's about that game, man. That was my minor at Howard. So we play around.
True.